Arsenal must back Mikel Arteta in the upcoming summer transfer window if they want to go again, strengthen, and potentially win the Premier League trophy next season. We're here today to talk about Mikel Arteta. If you're new to the channel, go down, subscribe, please do. We're on the road to 6K. We just hit 5K. And make sure, if you are enjoying the content, you drop a like and let me know your thoughts down below. Now, I have no dog in this fight being a Tottenham fan, so I'm talking about Arsenal and City as a neutral and a rival. Now, Mikel Arteta is coming up to his 4th year or 5th year as Arsenal manager. He's been there 4 seasons. He's had 2 8th place finishes. One in terms of he took over mid-season, won an FA Cup. Second season, finished 8th. Third season, 5th. And then obviously last season and this season. So there's constant progression there. If Arsenal want to go again next season, they have to back Arteta in the summer like they did in the previous window. 1 or 2 Declan Rice type signings in attack and probably another one in defence. And Arsenal will be an elite side. No if, buts, or maybes. Take your agenda out of it. Arsenal, with a couple more Declan Rice type level signings, they will be an elite side. Yes, you can say Arsenal have spent close to 700 million under Arteta. Man City alone in the last decade have done 500 million on defenders since, I think, 2012. Yeah, they've done 500 million on defenders from Walker, Zinchenko, Stones, Diaz, Vardial. You know, the list goes on and on and on and on and on. Arsenal have a fantastic opportunity next season. There's no kind of certainty yet what's going to happen with Manchester City with their quote-unquote 115 charges. They could get fined. They could get a transfer ban. They could get a points deduction. Who knows? But going into next season, there's big question marks about Liverpool. Will there be a big drop-off from Jurgen Klopp not being there? There's big question marks about Manchester United with the new ownership, with Chelsea. Pochettino, will he be there? With Spurs, will Postecoglou be there? And Arsenal at the moment probably look the most settled in terms of squad, in terms of morale, in terms of the manager, in terms of the players, to rival Manchester City once again. Hypothetically, if Manchester City were to get, I don't know, a setback, a transfer ban, a point deduction, then Arsenal win next season's Premier League without a doubt. You know, in the last 2 years, they have come on leaps and bounds under Arteta. They've made lots of good signings. Declan Rice, Gabriel, Raya, Timber. We're yet to see him come into the Premier League and actually make an impact. Of course, he had his injury. You know, Trossard, what a signing he's been for Arsenal. Manchester City, if they don't get a point deduction, I think their case is in October. We expect them all to go again in the summer. There's talks of Wirtz from Bayer Leverkusen. There's talks of Musiala from Bayern Munich. Manchester City do what Alex Ferguson did all those years ago. They strengthen while they're on top. And that's what the best teams in the league do and the best teams around Europe do. When you are at your absolute peak, you still need to strengthen. Not necessarily to make your squad that much better, but just to let rivals know that you're not going anywhere. And that's exactly what Arsenal did by signing Declan Rice. Let's not forget, Manchester City also wanted Declan Rice. They could have had Rodri in the number 6, De Bruyne or I was about to say Odegaard, De Bruyne or Foden in the 10 and Rice in the 8. Now, the main position I think Arsenal need to go and strengthen, the 2 main positions, is a number 6 and a number 9. I think Declan Rice's best position, and when he excels, is in that advanced 8 role. Now, there's big question marks about Thomas Partey. Will he still be here in the summer? And of course, the big question mark is they do need a number 9. And that doesn't necessarily mean Havertz has been a bad signing. You know, Manchester City in the same window brought in Haaland and Alvarez. That doesn't mean that Alvarez is a bad signing. But it's hard to look at past many, many teams in the Premier League that have won the Premier League that have not had an elite number 9. You look at Blackburn when they won it in the 90s, Alan Shearer, Chelsea with Drogba, Man United with Cole, York, Rooney, Van Nistelrooy, Solskjaer, Sheringham. Leicester when they had Vardy. Man City when they had Aguero, De Dzeko, Tevez. Arsenal at the moment are crying out for a number 9, in my opinion. And that just gives Arteta even more props to still be in a title race, to still scored the most goals in a Premier League season, to my knowledge. Or if they haven't, it's very, very close. They have scored the most goals in the Premier League, but of course, Man City have got a game in hand. They've got the best defense in the Premier League. They've got the best goal difference in the Premier League. They're in absolutely unbelievable form. These players have got Champions League experience. You go into next season, the only, I say, criticism you could probably give Arteta is the fact that this season and last season he hasn't won a domestic trophy, whereas Liverpool haven't been that great. They've won a League Cup. Man United last year won a League Cup. That's the only criticism you could give him. And that's what a lot of criticism Jurgen Klopp gets now. Because when you look at his Premier League legacy, in the early days, he didn't necessarily take the domestic cups in terms of the FA Cup and the League Cup that seriously. But Arsenal have to back Arteta going into next season. City will strengthen. Vardy will have an extra year under his belt. He'll improve. The likelihood is they may sell Jack Grealish, put more money back into their firing line. And we know Manchester City are going to go out and buy another wide player because they've lost in the last 3 or 4 years. They've lost the likes of Riyad Mahrez, Sane, Sterling. They've lost Gundogan as well. And if Grealish goes as well, they're going to need to bring in a wide man. Who that's going to be, I don't know. But Arsenal, I think if they don't win the league this season, they've still got to back Arteta. I think he's the right man for the job. Alex Ferguson didn't win a league title for 4 years at Manchester United. Jurgen Klopp didn't win a league title for 3 or 4 years at Liverpool. Guardiola in his first year finished 3rd, and he's the greatest manager, in my opinion, of all time. That doesn't necessarily mean that Arteta's doing a bad job. You are going up against the greatest manager of all time. Jurgen Klopp has won 1 Premier League title in the 8 years he's been here. He won 1 FA Cup. Arteta has also won an FA Cup. I guess you can say he's won the Champions League, and that's fair and square. He has. But Jurgen Klopp's legacy, he should have won more. So in terms of Arteta, they need to give him money in the summer. I don't know how much they are going to do, but the Kroenkes are very, very rich owners. We know that their NFL team, their hockey team, they always excel and always win eventually. So it's about for Arteta identifying the targets early. There's big talk about Ivan Toney. I don't necessarily think he's the right man for Arsenal. I think you could look at someone like Ollie Watkins. He would be, can play on the left, can play on the right. But we all know one of the most perfect signings you could probably get for Arsenal would be an Alexander Isak. If they go out and drop 100 million on an Alexander Isak, then there is categorically zero, and I mean zero, I guess you could say criticism or critiques or criticized, whatever word you want to use. You cannot criticize that front 3 with Saka, Isak, and Trossard, or Martinelli, or Havertz. I think the likelihood is you probably will see a Gabriel Jesus go. You probably will see an Nketiah go. Now, of course, we know Arsenal spent a lot of money in the last couple of years. So to keep that spending up, you've also got to see the results on the pitch. You've got to keep qualifying for the Champions League. You've got to keep going into the latter stages of the Champions League and domestic cups. But I do think this summer, they have to go out, and deliver a few more big signings. You've brought through Havertz and Rice, and both signings have done very, very well. Unfortunate for Timber, he, didn't, of course, really get an opportunity because of his injury. David Ray has been a great signing. He's won the Golden Glove. So you just need to keep this momentum going in terms of who you are going to bring through. And then in terms of Manchester City, I guess for them, it's about strengthening while you're on top if they win the league. If Arsenal win the league this season because Man City slip up, then even if Arteta wins the league, you still got to strengthen. The whole point of me making this video is Arsenal next season have a massive opportunity. If Manchester City get the charges, Liverpool's new managers coming in. There's talk of Mohamed Salah leaving. There's even been talk of Van Dijk leaving. Man United have got new owners. Chelsea have got new owners. You know, Aston Villa will be in the Champions League next season. So I don't expect them to have another season like this unless they go out and do 150 million themselves, which they could quite easily do because they're very rich as well. Tottenham as well, you'd expect them to improve. But in terms of Arsenal's next season, I make them one of the favourites to win the Premier League. It's them or City, but if City get this potential point deduction or a potential transfer ban or a fine, Arsenal win the league next season. No if, buts, or maybes. You know, you just got to stick with Arteta, bring a few more players in, and then see where you are. You know, he's been there 4 full seasons, and 2 of the 4 seasons he's been there, he's been in title races. Like this narrative that he's a bad manager, I used to critique him and think that, but this season he's answered a lot of the criticism. He's answered a lot of people thought last season was a one-off. Arteta won't be in a title race next season. They've gone out, they've given him money. He's improved on last season. He's shown that he's got a plan B and a different tactical way of playing. We've seen how much improvement on Arsenal's defense. It's absolutely insane. You know, last season they conceded 43 goals in the Premier League. This season they've conceded 28. So you're looking at nearly a 20 goal difference in terms of shaving off goals. So I think he's the right man. You just got to stick with him, see where you end up. I do think they will win silverware next season if they don't win the Premier League this season, but they have to back him in the summer. Let me know your thoughts down below. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. I'll see you all in the next one. Thank you all for